Hello, hope you all had a great weekend. Now we're back in school for this week on Monday, and we're going to get into it. So today we are going to be talking about U.S. culture, specifically pertaining to its government and its economy. This should be Unit 2, Chapter 4, Lesson 3, the very first part, so pretty much the beginning of Lesson 3 in your textbook. Getting into our objectives for today. Today I will learn about the United States government and its economy so I can understand my role as a U.S. citizen in relation to my country's government and business. I know I have it when I can discuss with family and friends the three branches of our government and what makes our economy free enterprise. So, vocab today, pretty sparse. No actual academic vocab, but we do have a couple of content vocab words for you all. Citizen and capital. The three topics for today, you'll notice there's no subtopics, pretty straightforward. It's going to be citizenship, U.S. government today, and free enterprise economy. Getting into our first topic, citizenship. So you might ask yourself, what is a citizen? Well, citizen is basically just a legal member of a country, state, or even a city. Now, you are automatically considered a U.S. citizen if you are either born in the United States or you're born outside of the U.S., but your parents are actually considered U.S. citizens. Now, foreign-born people can actually become U.S. citizens through a process known as naturalization. This involves a whole bunch of paperwork and lots of formalities such as that. As U.S. citizens, so that's going to be us, as U.S. citizens, we have several duties and responsibilities to the United States. The difference between duties and responsibilities, you might not know this. Duty is considered something that you absolutely have to do, and responsibility is something you should do. You should take the initiative to do on your own, but it's not going to be something that is considered mandatory, even though I believe that these two things should be mandatory, if you ask me. Now, the duties we have as U.S. citizens are going to be obey laws, pay taxes, and defend the nation in certain circumstances, such as like a draft. Now, our responsibilities as U.S. citizens would be staying informed, being educated in terms of like the political atmosphere going around in the United States and the world, and voting. Okay, we are a constitutional republic, representative democracy as well. We should be informed enough to actually vote on our representatives for our government. Okay, you think about, in fact, we can actually take this moment to pause the video, think about why these things, why these responsibilities, why these duties are so important as U.S. citizens. Okay, let's take a minute or two to actually pause the video and discuss this, or for virtual learners, either think about this yourself for a couple minutes, or if you are in class, we're going to pause the video, the teacher's going to pause the video, and we're going to take some hands raised. Why are these duties and responsibilities so critical to us as U.S. citizens? Before we dive into our next topic videos, we're going to pause it here. Okay, so hopefully you pause the video, you have that discussion. Now we're going to start getting into our next two topic videos that are going to cover our U.S. government today and our free enterprise economy. So stay tuned for those in just a second.
To understand how and why we elect a president the way we do, you have to know a little bit about our government. So, let's start there. This is the Constitution of the United States. It's a document that says how our government works. The Constitution says that the power of our government is divided between three parts, or branches. The legislative branch, called Congress, passes the laws. The judicial branch, headed by the Supreme Court, decides if the laws agree with the Constitution. And the executive branch makes sure that the laws are carried out. The president is the head of the executive branch. The president is also the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. There's also a vice president who can take over if the president dies or is unable to hold office. Both the president and the vice president are elected to serve a 4-year term. There are only 3 qualifications for becoming president. The person has to be a natural-born citizen of the United States, at least 35 years of age, and must have lived in the United States for at least 14 years. You get to be president by winning an election. In an election, citizens get to elect or choose a person to represent them in government. Presidential elections take place in November. It's called the popular or general election. where registered voters can vote for the candidate they want for president. A candidate is a person who is trying to get elected. But the general election is not the official election that is required by the Constitution. To understand why, we have to go back to the early days of our country. At the Constitutional Convention in 1787, the delegates debated long and hard about how to elect the president. Some thought it should be up to Congress. Others thought it was a job for the states. Still others considered having the people elect the president directly. However, back then it was difficult for people to communicate and get information. Many leaders thought that most citizens wouldn't be informed enough to make a good decision. So, in the end, the writers of the Constitution came up with a compromise. It's called the Electoral College. We'll find out more about the Electoral College shortly, but now it's time to play Know Your Government. Do you know the answers to the following questions? Which of the following is not a branch of the U.S. government? Is it the A, Legislative Branch, B, Homeland Branch, C, Judicial Branch, or D, Executive Branch? The answer is B. The Homeland Branch is not a branch of the government. The three branches of government are the Legislative Branch, the Judicial Branch, and the Executive Branch. Here's the next question up on the board. How old do you have to be to become President of the United States? Is it A, 30 years old, B, 45 years old, C, 35 years old, or D, 15 years old? The answer is C. You must be 35 years old to become president. Now here's the last question. What do we call a person who is running for president? Is it A, a candidate, B, a judge, C, a dude, or D, Mr. President? If you said A, you're right. The person running for president is called a candidate. Here's a presidential fun fact. Abraham Lincoln was the tallest president. He was 6 feet 4 inches tall. James Madison was the shortest president at 5 feet 4 inches. That's the long and short of it.
Hello again. So you should have just finished watching the government video for the United States. So hopefully you're a little bit more acquainted or better acquainted and better understand our three branches of our U.S. government. Now we're going to go from this video or the previous video we just watched, and we're going to transition you to the free enterprise video.
Today we're going to be talking about the law of supply and demand and the free enterprise system. By the end of the video, there are 4 questions you'll need to be able to answer. So let's get started. While you're watching this video today, if you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comments below. I'll be sure to get to them as soon as possible. And while you're at it, if you like this video, go ahead and hit subscribe so you are notified about future History with Miss H videos. At the end of the video, you should be able to tell me, 1, what is the free enterprise system? 2, what are the 5 pillars of the free enterprise system? 3, what is the law of supply and demand? And 4, what is the government's role in the economy? The free enterprise system is an economic system in which the government has little to no involvement. In theory, that means the government largely stays out of the economy of the country or state. Towards the end of the video, we'll talk about what that looks like in real life. The free enterprise system is built upon 5 pillars or big ideas. The first pillar of the free enterprise system is private enterprise. This means businesses are run by individuals, not the state or national government. Some examples of private enterprises you may be familiar with include Google, Netflix, Disney, and a local favorite, HEB. The next pillar of the free enterprise economy is profit motive. This means that private enterprises operate to earn a profit or money. Businesses' goals are to end the year with more money than they began, and that their income exceeds how much they spend. The third pillar of the free enterprise system is competition. That means there is more than one company performing a similar service or selling similar goods. For example, there are multiple companies that sell shoes. We don't all have to wear Nikes. We have choices. The fourth pillar of the free enterprise system is private property. This means citizens have an opportunity to own their own property. This can include a house, a car, or even the latest iPhone. And the final pillar of the free enterprise system is customer sovereignty. Remember, sovereignty is just a fancy word for power. So customer sovereignty means the customers have the power in the economy. By making choices about what to buy, where to buy it, and what companies to support, the consumer, or you and me, drive the economy. Another key component in the free enterprise system is the law of supply and demand. Ideally, according to supply and demand, the amount of a product or good available, the supply, directly equals the amount of the product that people want to buy, or the demand. It doesn't always happen though. Take toilet paper as an example. Now, typically, the supply and the demand for toilet paper are even. The amount of toilet paper available matches the amount of toilet paper people want to buy. That keeps the price relatively even. You can predict how much a pack of toilet paper is going to cost at a grocery store. Right now though, in April 2020, it's not the case. The demand for toilet paper is much higher than the supply. And in some places, that's causing the price of toilet paper to go up. Now, in theory, these economic components all work together with no government involvement, and the consumer truly rules the economy based on the choices they make. However, in real life, the government does have a limited role in our economy. For example, the government passes and enforces laws to make sure businesses run fairly and safely. During the Progressive Era, the government passed laws that required factories to meet basic safety standards to protect factory workers. They also passed laws limiting child labor to make sure children were safe from dangerous working conditions in places like factories and mines. The government also passes laws to ensure that there is competition in the market. Have you ever played Monopoly? I don't know about you, but I hate that game. And the government stops our lives from becoming real-life Monopoly by ensuring that more than one company offers a good or service. In Texas, for example, James Hogg created the Railroad Commission to keep railroad companies from having a monopoly and raising prices to ship goods and transport people. Even today, the government gets involved in the economy for multiple reasons.
All right, so y'all should have just finished watching the free enterprise video. Now we're gonna go over sort of like a little review over some of the questions that were posed at the beginning of the video. So first one, what is a free enterprise economy? Just what is it? What does it mean? Second question, what is the law of supply and demand? Third question, how does the United States government play a role in the free enterprise economy? So we're just going to pause the video there. And we're going to see if we can get some hands raised, or if you're a virtual learner at home, just ponder those questions for a little bit. All right, so hopefully you all were able to answer those questions soundly. Now we're going to get into the last part of the lesson before we go over and review the objectives that we accomplished today, and that's going to be, what is capital? What is capital, and how does it relate to free enterprise exactly? So this is going to be our second and our last content vocab word for the day, capital. Now, capital as it relates to economics is actually a little bit of a tricky concept to understand, and a lot of y'all might be familiar with capital meaning, for example, like the capital of a state. So the capital of Texas would be Austin. The city of Austin would be the capital, considered to be one of the most influential, most important cities of a state. But that's not exactly what this capital word here means. Capital in economics basically just means anything that can generate wealth. Pretty much anything. Okay, this can include buildings, land, machines. Some people even consider even money itself is a form of capital. Okay, so you might be asking yourself, Mr. Aristotle, how exactly do these things make money? Okay, well, think about it. Buildings. Companies own buildings. They do their work. They provide their services in buildings. They kind of need buildings to run a business. And so owning that building and doing their work from that building actually helps them generate a profit, generate wealth, actually helps them make money. Land. Farmers. Okay, kind of hard to grow things without, land to actually plant things from. So using land, a form of capital, they grow their crops. They even raise livestock by having their livestock raised out in the fields. Again, land, they sell their livestock, they sell their crops from the land, and they can generate profit. Okay, machines, factories, things that produce products so that us consumers can buy them. Okay, so this iPhone, I don't think they're actually made by hand. I believe that they are, manufactured somewhere, maybe in another country, not the United States, maybe they already made in the US, I'm not exactly sure. These are made by machines, and those machines help Apple get money, because without those machines, no iPhones, no me buying the iPhone, no money for Apple. Okay, so machines, a form of capital, helps the company make wealth or generate wealth. All right. Now that we went over capital, we're going to go ahead and go over, last thing, free enterprise. Okay, so the really important thing here is that capital is owned by those individual businesses or those individual people, not by the government. Okay, so buildings, land, machines, even the money itself, under free enterprise, under a free enterprise economic system, all these forms of capital are owned by people, by individual companies or organizations, and the people that make them up, not by the government. So the government under a free enterprise system is not supposed to, have these or own these things or even seize them. All right. Now, that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into our objectives for today, which is going to be, yes, today we learned about the United States government and its economy, so we could understand your role as a U.S. citizen in relation to my country's government and business, my role. And, you'll have it when you can discuss with your family and friends the rights you have as a U.S. citizen, the three branches of our government, and our free enterprise economy. Boom. All right. That's going to conclude this lesson video. Now, do not forget to check the folder for the activity, which is pretty much going to be your sort of like a visualization of your project idea. Okay, so this grade is actually going to be a formative grade, so it's not actually going to be part of the project grade technically, but it will still be a grade nonetheless. So you need to make sure you look in the folder or in class, pay attention to the instructions, and you need to do it. All right. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day and take care.